Greetings everyone and welcome back to the Forest of Doom. Hopefully, not the last episode, but we shall see, I guess. But I have a good feeling it won't be the last one. Let's quickly recap. We got the one piece of the hammer, and we are heading to the stone bridge, which is where the dwarves live, which want to have this hammer. We didn't explore the whole map, but the game kind of make us go like that you can't go back. And I think they will let us go back and try to find the other piece. Will we though? We shall see. The path leads through the field to a stone bridge over a clear stream. Beyond the bridge are the small cottages and wooden huts of a village. A sign on the bridge reads Stone Bridge. You cross the bridge and see two old dwarves with long, white beards standing by a cottage looking at you. Do you have the hammerhead and the handle with the letter G inscribed on it? If you possess neither or only one of those items, you have failed in your quest to help the dwarves. Being unable to face Gilbren, their king, you decide to head east and find a place to rest after your perilous adventure. But wait, perhaps you want to continue searching. If you do, I had a good feeling about this. You decide that the best way to continue looking is to walk back around the Darkwood forest and pay a visit to Jastromo. As you begin the long walk, you are attacked by a large group of wild hillmen. Probably the same group who attacked Bigleg and his party 2 days earlier. If you are lucky, you manage to run away from them without being hit by the rain of arrows which falls about you. If you are unlucky, well, you've been lucky. You run for what seems like hours, stumbling through the changing landscape. Something doesn't seem right somehow, and you feel a thumping pain in your head. You stop, falling to the ground and stare up at the blue sky and clouds floating above. Your vision blurs and you suddenly see a familiar face staring down at you before you lose consciousness. You open your eyes this evening and you find yourself lying beneath a sheepskin blanket. Next to an open fire, a half-eaten rabbit that looks as though it was speed roasted lies on the ground nearby. This feels very familiar. There is a full moon and the light sparkles on the blade of your broadsword. Skewered onto the ground by your side, you gaze at it, thinking about all the wild creatures you have killed in the last few days. You try to remember each one of them, but somehow you can't picture them in your mind. You are pretty sure that you killed some, yet it feels like the memory of those encounters is fading. You know these are strange lands inhabited by weird and loathsome beasts, goblins, trolls, and even dragons. Have you killed any recently? Maybe you are just tired and need a good sleep. As the flame of your campfire gently dies, you begin to finally drift asleep and images of fighting strange monsters flicker through your mind. Suddenly in the bushes to the left you hear a loud crack of a twig. Breaking under a clumsy foot, you leap up and grab your sword from the ground. You stand motionless but alert, ready to pounce on your unseen adversary. Then you hear a groan, followed by the dull thud of a body falling to the ground. Is it a trap? Slowly you walk over to the bush where the noise is coming from and carefully pull back the branches. You look down to see a little old man with a great bushy beard. His face controlled with pain. He seems vaguely familiar and you crouch down to remove the iron helmet, covering his balding head, and notice two crossbow bolts prounding from the stomach of his plump, chainmail-clad torso. Picking him up, you carry him over to the fire and stir the dying embers into the life. After covering him with the sheepskin blanket, you manage to get to the old man to drink a little water. He coughs and moans. He sits up rigid, Ace starting fixedly ahead and starts to shout.
I'll get them! I'll get them, don't you fear, Gilbran? Bigleg is coming to bring you the hammer, oh yes! Oh yes!
The dwarf whose name you presume to be Bigleg is obviously delirious from the poison-tripped balls lodged in his stomach. You watch as the slumps down again to the ground, then whisper his name in his ear. His eyes stare unblinkingly at you as he starts to shout.
Ambush! Look out, ambush! Ah, the hammer! Take the hammer to the Gilbran! Save the dwarfs!
His eyes half closed and the pain seems to ease a little, and as the delirium subsides he speaks to you again in a low whisper.
Help us, friend! Take the hammer to the Gilbran! Only the hammer will untie our people against the trolls. We were on our way to the Darkwood in search of the hammer, ambushed by the little people. Others killed. The map in my pouch will take you to home of Yatsromo, the master mage of those parts. His great magic's for sale to protect you against the creatures of Darkwood. Here, take my gold, I beg you, to find the hammer and take it. Gilbran, my lord of Stormage, you will be the well rewarded.
Bigleg opens his mouth to start another sentence, but nothing comes out except his lately dying breath. You sit down and ponder Bigleg's words. Who is Gilbran? Who is Yatsromo? The names feel familiar to you like some distant dream. What is all the fuss about the dwarvish hammer? You reach over to the still body of Bigleg and remove the pouch from the leather belt around his waist. Inside you find a number of gold pieces and a half-drawn map. Jingling the coins in your hand, you think of the possible reward which may await you. Just for the turning of hammer to village of the dwarfs. You decide to try and find the hammer in Darkwood Forest. It's been a few weeks since your last good battle, you think. And what is more, you are likely to be well paid for this one. You think. With your mind made up, you settle down sleep, having taken back to the shapeskin blanket from poor Bigleg. In the morning you bury the old dwarf and gather up your possession. You examine them up, look up at the sun and find your bearings. Any strange thoughts you had last night about dreamlike adventures have now faded, and whistling in merry you ahead of. South at the good peace, eager to meet this man Yatsromo and see what he has to offer. Okay, my map is still... I shouldn't read this out, because this is beginning of the game. If you didn't watch the beginning, maybe then reading this had sense. But we did a loop in the story that the game started over, but I think my items and all my progress will be the same as I continue. So now we just need to take different paths and find the other piece of hammer, and we're done. That's pretty clever. Pretty clever. I hope at least. Let's see. Okay, that looks the same. Yeah, he doesn't know who I am. What about my adventure sheet? We have backpack, leather armor, Darkwood's forest, weapon, sword. Find the hammer and take it to Gilbran. It doesn't say I have the other hammer. Wait, it says find the hammer because we have the handle, I think. I don't know. Let's just continue, yeah? Okay, cool, I guess. So yeah, that is beginning of the game, again. I don't think I have all my items, I don't. We're gonna buy some stuff. I don't really... How much gold do I have? Do my gold reset as well? I think it did, didn't it? No! I have 62 gold now! So I have way more gold than I used to have. Which means I probably can afford everything, actually. Okay. Yastama asks us the reason of the items, and he just tells us about the Darkwood Forest and the dwarves being in the danger. One kept the head, the other kept the handle. Yeah, I know that. And last time we went east, so now we're gonna head west. I don't remember where we find the hammer though. The hammerhead. Wasn't it like here? Or was it like here? I think we still need to get the silver key on the way. But we should head like forward here. And then go right. I think that's the way to beat the game. But since all this, let's do a little bit, let's move a little bit to the west. The narrow overgrown path continues to wave its way through the crowded forest. Strange animal cries echo through the trees. It's not long before you arrive at another junction of the path. I wish to continue westwards. The path turns suddenly to the right and proceeds northwards into the dense underground. Suddenly off the path to your left you hear a cries for help. If you wish to go to the aid of the person in trouble... I don't remember, I don't think this is event I had yet. Oh shit. Clambering over the gunlet roots of the old trees you head into the direction of the cries. After a few minutes you see a man dressed in the long dark robes with his foot cuff and the rusted rabbit snare. His face is masked by the ropes and only his dark brown eyes are visible. If you want to help the man, or if you decide against helping him, kind of looks like a bandit to me, of some sort. A thief, perhaps. Why would he have his face covered? But he clearly needs help. It doesn't look trustworthy, but... I'm willing to help him. You wedge your sword between the jaws of the snare and pull on it like a lever, and the robed stranger adds his strength and finally the snare springs open. He thanks you over and over again and explains that he is in the forest looking for his long-lost brother, who he thinks is living the life of a hermit somewhere in the depths. Together you scramble back over to the roots of the trees to the path. You ask him to accompany you north, but he politely declines, saying that B believes his brother lives to the south. You shake hands and bid each other farewell. Thinking about the robed stranger, you feel a little uncomfortable. There was something about his manner that you did not trust. You stop to take a look in your backpack and are annoyed to find your small bag containing your gold is missing. You are in two minds whether or not to run after the thief, but you sense that he will not be where he said he was going. You curse and start off again. Fuck! Walking along the twisting path, you see a small sinewy creature with brown scaly skin, sitting on a long log to the right of the path. He has a sullen expression on his face as he slowly tosses a black shiny rod on the leather cord, back and forth between his hands. He might be one of the goblins you are looking for. You might draw your sword or try to start a conversation with the goblin. Oh man. Okay, I think that would be it for this episode. I'm happy that the story continues and we actually have occasion to check the rest of the place. And eventually, I think you're supposed to do it as many times as you eventually figure out how to get there and get the hammer. Yeah, but thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I did, I was quite surprised. And I thought we're gonna just go back and we're gonna keep all our items, but it's just some weird holes and fabric of space of time. I guess. Yeah. Take care guys and farewell.